When you hear the word Iran, what actually comes to mind? Sanctions? Nuclear deals? Conflict? I get it. That's pretty much all the news ever shows. But here's the thing. Before any of that, before the politics, before the headlines, there was a civilization, one of the oldest on Earth, older than Rome, older than most of Europe's borders, older than almost everything we studied in school. And the Iran you think you know? It's maybe 10% of the picture. Let me show you the rest. Long before it was called Iran, it was Persia. And under Cyrus the Great, the Persian Empire became one of the largest empires in all of human history. At its peak, it stretched from Egypt all the way to India. We're talking about a single empire spanning 3 continents. But here's the part that genuinely stopped me when I first learned it. Cyrus the Great is widely credited with creating one of the first charters of human rights, the Cyrus Cylinder, written over 2,500 years ago. Freedom of religion, the abolition of slavery in conquered lands, the right of people to return to their homelands, 2,500 years ago. When I first read that, I had to sit with it for a moment, because we don't hear this version of Iran almost ever. And that, right there, tells you something. And this is the part I keep coming back to whenever I research places like this. Every country has layers, but Iran has centuries stacked on top of each other. And every layer changes the story. In 1979, everything shifted. The Iranian Revolution transformed the country from a monarchy under Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi into an Islamic republic under Ayatollah Khomeini. Overnight, the political system changed. The relationship with the West changed. The identity of the country changed. And I want to be clear about something. I'm not here to tell you whether that revolution was right or wrong. That's not the point. The point is that it happened, and it still defines everything about modern Iran. But here's what I think people miss. Revolutions reshape governments. They don't erase people. The poetry is still there. The architecture is still there. The culture, thousands of years of it, is still there. Politics changes. Civilization doesn't disappear overnight. Fast forward to today. Iran has over 85 million people, and here's something that genuinely surprised me. More than 60% of the population is under the age of 35. Think about that. This ancient civilization, built on empires, poetry, and philosophy, is predominantly being lived by Gen Z. Tehran at night is not what most people picture. Coffee shops, art galleries, underground music scenes. Young people navigating their identity between what the government says and what they feel inside. I find that fascinating. And honestly, a little moving. Because that tension between the ancient and the modern, between the official and the personal, that's not unique to Iran. That's the human condition. Iran just happens to have one of the oldest stages it plays out on. And let me give you a few things that genuinely blew my mind. First, Isfahan. There's a city in central Iran so beautiful that Persians used to say, Isfahan Nesfe Jahan, which translates to, Isfahan is half the world. If you look up the Nasir al-Mulk Mosque, the one nicknamed the Rainbow Mosque, and you tell me you've never wanted to go there, I won't believe you. Second, the Persian language. Farsi has barely changed in over 1,000 years, which means a modern Iranian person can read poetry written in the 1300s like it was written last week. Imagine being able to sit down and read Shakespeare in his original English. Without a translation, that's what Iranians have with Hafez. And third, nobody ever talks about this, Iran has ski resorts. Real ones. In the mountains north of Tehran, real snow, real lifts, real slopes. I genuinely had no idea. And I've been thinking about the world for a long time. There's something I want to say before we wrap up. Persian identity is old. Like, genuinely, deeply old. And that identity, expressed through food, poetry, hospitality, and family, predates every modern political conflict attached to the country's name. Iranians I've spoken to, read about, and learned from carry an immense pride in that heritage. Not a defensive pride, a quiet one. The kind that comes from knowing that your civilization was already ancient when most of the modern world was still being built. And I think that matters, Because when we reduce any country to its headlines, we're not just missing information, we're missing people. Iran is ancient and modern. It's a paradox, but every country is. The more you look at any place with real curiosity, not with the lens of a news cycle, the more complicated it becomes. And complicated is not a bad thing. Complicated means human. If you want to keep exploring places beyond the surface, the stories that don't make the front page, subscribe to Neptune Vault. Because the world is never just one story, and neither are the people living in it.